Hey everyone, it's Tom Lamog. I am an instructor with the G4V Learning Center, Cav Arts, and with the Cyber chapter. Welcome to Guitarist Guitar Shop. I want you to know that this is our 10th show and our last for 2024. I just want to go back over the year and what we accomplished, but before we do, I want to introduce to you our co-host, as he's always been here with us, and that would be Daniel B. Daniel?
Hey, it's
Yeah,
me.
it is Daniel. And you know what? Hey,
Hey, hi everyone.
Dan, I am looking back at some of the videos um from the past year, and it was such a
Was
pleasure.
I clean shaven?
I think
You
on
know,
one
was my makeup right?
the other one, yeah, I know we need to talk about that, adding that to the budget for 2025. But listen, I'm going to go back through some of the things that we covered because these are things that if you missed it, you might want to go back to the YouTube channel for Guitar Vets and seek out the G4V Guitar Shop, because we talked about, first of all, with the help of a number of our instructors, some musicians who we've either had on some of our live events, or just industry professionals. They helped us geek out, explore all things guitar, and it was such a great time. Earlier this year, you may remember we introduced you to acoustic guitar tone woods and really the distinctive features between all of the different types. And it was pretty compelling stuff, you know. I mean, you can go ahead and pick up one guitar that's made, of one particular wood, and then another guitar and play them side by side. It's like you can't hear the difference. I was one who would walk into the guitar shop and never really knew. It's like, oh, that sounds good, without really knowing, that. I think if you take a look at that episode, you'll definitely learn a few things. We talked about accessories, strings, tuners, capos. We had master guitar builder Robert Rask of Rask Guitars, who introduced some of his beautifully handcrafted guitars and even added his knowledge to our conversations. We introduced you to a second instrument. Possibly, you would want to learn how to play banjo, ukulele, pedal steel, fiddle, dobro, mandolin, stand-up bass guitar, and even Dan's favorite, the electric guitar. We managed to bring those instruments to the forefront in several of the episodes that we did this year. We geeked out over acoustic guitar pickups, amplifiers, and microphones. And last month, we even reviewed some of the audio recording solutions to help the guitarist and the singer-songwriter too. So what a year, Dan. What a year.
It's been incredible, and I don't even think we've just brushed the surface of everything that can go on in a guitar shop. Because if you ever get to a guitar shop, you see all the techs that are around. You see the people that know their products for sound, for studio mixing, for sound mixing, for your clubs, your gigs, um, all the types of instruments, drums, bass, uh, sound reinforcement. I mean, it's just the amount of things that are in a guitar shop, and then the knowledge of most people that have a guitar shop know. The people that work there are either, aspiring musicians or aspiring engineers, perhaps guitar techs.
Mhm.
So it's the guitar shop can be quite the learning experience on its own. And we really are only touching a little bit of what can go on in a guitar shop.
You should be a fly on the wall, if you will, on some of the conversations that we have just between Dan and myself, and even including some of the instructors. But what do we want to talk about in the next event? And I forgot to mention, and Rich, you're on standby here because I'm going to bring you on board because I want to talk with everyone about what Rich's contributions were. And that was really from the luthier perspective. He was able to address areas and products and solutions that Dan and I couldn't get to. And I don't know, Rich, if you're, if you want to add to that, to, maybe even throw in, do you have any gift ideas? Because gift ideas for the guitarist is the topic. And everyone, of course, has to maintain their guitar. Hey, Rich, welcome.
Hey, how are you?
Great to
Well, I
see you.
started thinking about that and came up with a long list. Um, One question I get a lot from people is, what do you need for a toolkit? And we've discussed this before. There are thousands of luthier tools, and every luthier's kind of got his favorites. There are expensive tools, there are not so expensive tools. I can post. I keep a sample toolkit around with just a few basics for the guitar guy who's just going out doing a quick gig, or hanging out with his friends and fooling around. So basically, yeah, a little bit cleaner and extra strings, of course, because sometimes you get a little wound up and strings get broken on you. Uh, anyway, so a few basic tools are nice. I really get a little bit disappointed because there are so many available options out there on the internet that I when I start looking for stuff, I'm in a rabbit hole for hours. But you can find a good basic toolkit for $30 or $40 or several $100. I've got a list that we can post later that are just tools that I pick up at the hardware store that are small and handy stuff. Most of us have got these things hanging out in our garage or our basement anyway. So, yeah, a little bit of toolery. One of my favorite Christmas gifts is motivation. I've been trying to play guitar for 30 years. Um, so I get motivational pictures and posters from family members that sort of encourages me.
Yeah, I'm just curious what you would have. What do you consider a basic tool
Well,
within the toolkit
yeah,
themselves?
perhaps
String winder,
perhaps I should.
obviously. String
I
winder.
don't
That's
want to exceed my 2 or 3 minute excess. Strings, of course.
oh,
You
absolutely.
can always pick up cloth cleaners,
Oh
and
yeah.
you need two, one for your strings and a separate one for your wood, because you get a lot of oil on those strings and you don't want to rub that into your wood. So I suggest two strings. Everybody needs a pair of wire cutters
Mhm.
um, to cut those excess strings. Now you can leave the strings wild if you replace them, but I have a tendency to poke my fingers a lot. And when you're a sloppy guitar player like me, you're leaning over and poking the face. So I do that. My luthier friends won't like me for recommending this, but one of my favorite cleaners
Oh,
is
so where's the keep the matches away?
lighter
The
fluid.
lighter fluid.
It's
Okay.
it's mild. It doesn't eat up into the finishes. It's good for wiping off some stuff. It's something you usually don't need to do until you get home. Another good cleaner is an eraser, a regular old pencil eraser for getting
Mhm.
some of those scuff marks off, and it's good for cleaning the strings real quick. Everybody needs a little extra tool. It's got everything you ever needed in there, besides a corkscrew, a
Mhm.
knife blade, a couple of screwdriver and stuff like that. Good deal. Um,
Awesome. No extra pins for those.
Actually, you know
Oh,
what? I do always
just
keep a
put
pins
in
in
put in the
there.
luthier to the test here.
Did I send you my notes? Yeah, I always keep a couple extra
Here you go.
bridge
Nice.
pins, and actually I keep a tail pin because it's amazing how those guys get lost.
Oh gosh.
A file is good, double purpose. The
Mhm.
edges of your frets sometimes get really rough, and in the middle of a gig, that's really annoying. So you can just hit it a couple of times. Also, I use it for the fingertips when my nails go crazy. It helps me even them guys out.
Yeah, there you go.
And a
Yeah.
screen winder,
Can't
the
lose that.
world's best tool in the whole program, probably. It's got its own wire cutter. Yeah, there we go. There's a kit with everything. You know what I don't like about those kits? They always want to give you a bunch of Allen wrenches. And I always say, when you're out on a gig or partying or drinking, you don't want to mess with a neck adjustment. So
Mhm.
I say, hide the Allen wrenches until you get home and are
I know where the Allen wrench comes in very handy, and that's if you're a Floyd Rose tremolo user. The
okay.
locking nut on a Floyd Rose, you need that.
Sure.
You need an Allen wrench for that
Right.
lock nut.
Yeah. And just the one that you need, though. You
Mhm.
don't need six of them because
That's
going
true.
through them on a dark stage is not fun.
But
And I have
not more the
several
merrier.
of those.
Mhm.
A tuner,
Oh,
portable tuner,
there you go.
always
Is
good.
there a battery? You have the batteries, right?
Yeah, of
There you
course.
go. Of
You
course.
bet.
He's this man's, yeah, you're
And
on.
then picks, of course, we always lose picks.
Gotta have those. Where to
Yeah.
go to, in case you're missing something, you better go to your toolkit. And if you do you have a
Yeah, you got to
toolkit,
go to your
yes,
toolkit.
no,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But
Okay.
there are thousands of them on the internet that you can buy,
Mhm.
and like I say, they're pricey and stuff. But that depends on how much you play, where you play. You know, if you're like me and you just play for yourself on the back porch, you don't need a lot.
Uh-huh.
You know, if you're doing professional gigs, then you got to have a tool for everything that can go wrong because something will go wrong.
Oh
You know,
yeah.
and I haven't touched the whole electrical guitar business where you need to worry about cables and
That's
connectors.
2025, by the way, because
Okay, that's
Dan
next
and
year.
I talk
All
about
right.
this often.
So anyway, that's about those are the basics.
Very cool. Rich, it's good to see you. I want to bring on some of our other instructors to kind of talk a little bit about Bruce Bjork has been with us. And Bruce, you know, earlier this year you introduced us to all of those instruments. And I'm guessing that your gift suggestion might have something to do with any of the instruments you played. If not, what gift idea would you suggest?
I bought a Spark 40 about when they first came out,
Yeah.
4 or 5 years ago, and then I just upgraded to the Spark 2, and I got a deal on it because I'm a registered user.
All right, hang on. All right, we've now got the club here because Paul also I was hoping someone would bring the Paul. I'm going to bring you on this chat as well too. Good to see you, Paul and Bruce. Can
And
you
I'm gonna
first of all
beat
tell
these
us?
two guys.
I'm
I
going to
got
say this.
something better.
I'm going to say this. As a guitar player, I already have all my gear, so I haven't really looked for anything new lately. So the Spark is all the rave, obviously. Can you first of all tell us a little bit more about what it is, maybe what inspired you to get it?
Well, this one weighs 15 pounds. It's a typical amp. It's got all the things. The key thing is that it's Bluetooth, so you can go to what they call their tone cloud, and there's thousands and thousands of settings. So, here's a setting I use for my Telecaster. And by the way, I have 8 presets. So I've got presets for Telecaster, acoustic. I got a bunch for pedal steel. Because my pedal steel amp weighs 45 pounds, and I've found that I can't. And it's specific for a pedal steel. It's a Nashville 112 PV. Um, I can't tell the difference in the sound, and it's loud. So lately I've been gigging with it, and I think if I were to ever go to a much bigger venue, then I would just mic it with a Sennheiser. But it's got all these settings. You can call up songs, and it'll play the song and show you the chords.
Wow. Wow. Learning to play John Mayer, I see.
Yeah.
Aren't we all? Wow, that's pretty cool.
So I've got
Right
a
at your
bunch of
fingertips.
I got a bunch of songs saved, and it's great for practice. I play in a couple of bands, and I go to open mics, and people, especially with the pedal steel. So I'll always get a list of songs that people want to hear on the pedal steel. So what I'll do is I'll play it, and I can actually loop. I can loop those solo sections. So that way, because I use my ear to figure out the songs, but it's a great tool, and it,
Sweet. Wow.
it's and I'm only at like 50% volume, and also on my telly. It's incredibly loud. I mean, it's
Mhm.
just amazing. Literally, I mean, what is it? 12 pounds, 15 pounds.
The other thing with the Spark is it's made by Positive Grid, and before they got into amps, they were really known for their bias software in terms of
Yeah.
really emulating and modeling guitar tones. So the amp tones coming out of it are awesome. But it's kind of, they took the market first, kind of using the term practice amp. The other thing it has the ability, if you just develop a chord progression or a lick and you start playing it and you turn on this smart audio, it will listen for a while and then give you like 4 backing tracks to play along with what you just played. You could pick a rock style, jazz style. So it's very interactive. The newest Spark has a looper with it, which is awesome for practicing. So yeah, I'm a big fan of them. I think they sound great.
Oh, they're great. Yeah, it takes a load off my back. I mean, loading out for a gig with a pedal steel and cables and 45-pound amp. It's really lightened the load.
How long do you think it takes Daniel to load what's behind him?
Stack.
I have a guitar tech
Roadies.
and roadies.
He's at the chiropractor.
Is that what you want for Christmas? I know that's what I've always wanted that for Christmas. Oh, my back. It sounds like too, with all of it in the palm of your hand here, you don't have to worry about doing one of these, bending over and
Yeah.
messing with your pedals and all that. How awesome is that?
And you can. So I've got a bunch of these, and I can actually tweak these. If it has too much gain, I can turn the gain down. If it's too much reverb, I can adjust it. Reverb, delay, chorus, drive, EQ. I think there are 33 different amps. And actually, the one that I sold it to a bass player because it has 4 bass amps. So it's specific for a bass guitar.
Wow.
So
Yeah,
it's
what some of these Spark users are doing, they're using the Spark emulated model and throwing it through their own amp. So they get, let's say they have a physical amp that they like the cab sound. Or the opposite. Matt just put in the chat that you could still use pedals with the Spark, run it as a clean amp and run pedals in front of it. So it's very versatile.
Can't you run it right into a mixer?
Yep.
If you're a sound mixer when you're out, or
You
yeah, I
can.
think you can and run it into a recording mixer for sure. I know that.
Yeah, you can. It has two.
It's
two
very
outputs.
functional.
It's got a mono output, and but if you use 2 of them, it's a stereo output. So it's a 1/4-inch output.
Favorite model and version? Leaf is asking.
Depends on what you're teching. I mean, so the presets I have on the Spark 40, there's I think 4 of them. And you'll all know this if you've been playing at all. It's your cleanest clean, then you clean with just a little bit of gain, then a crunch, and then kind of a dark, really muddy, not quite heavy metal because I don't do that. That really depends on what you want to play. But I think what's nice about the Spark, in addition to all the users and all the presets they give you for a sound in your head, which I think is Blackstar Amps thing is recreating the sound in your head. All of this you can still dial down. You have an EQ on the amp, you have an EQ in the app, and so you still can really fine tune what you're first hearing to kind of, get that own sound that you want.
Yep.
Okay.
Kathy, you want to look for? Oh, Kathy had a question. You want to look for positive grid when you're searching for the Spark amps.
All right.
The newest thing they have is the AI feature where you're sitting there with your amp live and you say, I want a song that sounds like Foreigner's Double Vision. And AI will give you 3 or 4 choices from the tone cloud of Foreigner sounding songs.
Instead of sitting down and trying to manually figure out all the settings yourselves, it does that for you.
AI is going to be really something to see when it gets into a lot of different instruments, and I think it's going to show up in a lot of the software for recording. It's already is showing up. So
yeah, slowly, as soon as they get the programming right on that, lock it in. All right. Well, listen, Bruce, thank you so much. It's great to see you hang around because we still have our panel questions to ask. And thanks, Paul. Would you like to make any suggestions right now as to gift ideas for the guitarist since we've got you on here? And I know one, Beatles discography is at the top of the list. You can still get, music that everyone likes. That counts in my mind. Oh, here we go.
I'm actually going to bring a visit down memory lane. This was in the Cav Arts community 2 years ago where we were talking about guitar ideas or music related ideas for the guitar. So I've got these ice cube. It's an ice cube tray maker that makes guitar shaped ice cubes. You have an acoustic guitar, a Les Paul style, and a Fender style. And a buddy of mine got me a keyring holder that's a Marshall amp where the 1/4-inch plugins.
Cool.
And then we had Bruce talk about jewelry that was made with guitar strings.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
That's
And
cool.
that reminded me that I had a ring that had koa wood. I have a Taylor guitar that's made out of koa wood with a guitar string in the middle of it.
Oh,
And
man. And now, wait, before you go, what about the mug behind it? Is that a gift idea?
that is a gift idea.
Just
Absolutely.
checking. Just checking.
I've
Okay.
been told I gotta push less Beatles, so I'm trying to push
Oh,
less.
in that case, I know what I'm going to be saying. Oh,
Paris was one of our early volunteer instructors, and he talked about picks that you can get all sorts of embroidery on. This happened to be his first name. And then Tom talked about getting a Fender Telecaster.
oh, that's right, the desktop version. Yeah, yeah. That was given to me. I didn't ask for it. I was like, how cool is it? Can't play it, but I can pretend at times. Thanks, Paul. Those are. But all right, so yeah, I'm going to ask you because Beatles has been the top of the list of everything that we talk about. So is there something that you could recommend that's relating to the Beatles music?
Yes.
Just one item, though. Just
Oh, I can't do that. I mean,
sure
I
you
can't.
can. Sure you
So
can.
I mean, when you're doing gifts, there's always the issue of money that you're willing to spend and expense. But
Mhm.
if you're a Beatles fan and don't know a lot, like, you just kind of listen to them and you have the songbook. What are you holding up there, Kathy?
Beatles complete. Wait, everyone's hold up your Beatles item, everyone.
But I love it.
You got one.
I just got new Beatles boxers. No, just kidding.
Oh no,
Oh, good
No,
Lord.
it's a family show.
but I think one of the things I'll tell you a Beatle mistake I made, and it's not a mistake with a capital letter. It's a little mistake, but then a great find. So the last movie to come out was Peter Jackson's Let It Be,
Mhm.
recolorized with some recent footage and some additional footage. I bought the book and the movie. I loved the book. The book was a day-by-day accounting of what they did when they came in the studio. The movie was way too long. But the thing that I really liked from a Beatles perspective as a gift was their anthology set. There is so much background in the Beatles, and it starts from the very beginning in the cavern, when they had Pete Best as a drummer, to the breakup and the last concert on the rooftop. And it's just filled, and it includes the Beatles inner circle. So you're hearing a lot from Derek Taylor and Mal Evans and a lot of the people that basically lived with the Beatles when they were touring around Germany in those early years. So but if it's got the Beatles on it, I don't know that you're going to go wrong.
Very well. I wanted to make sure you get that in there. It's important that
Thank you.
yeah, we still acknowledge
I'll
their
tell you what
impact.
I'm loving about the Beatles most recently now is all the songwriting stuff. YouTube's got all these amazing videos about, these were four unschooled musicians in terms of theory and music. They didn't have the language of theory, but man, they were not following rules, and you could hear it. I mean, that's just really interesting music they were creating way back then. And there's a lot of great YouTube videos. I think I posted one in the community about the 5 things you could learn from the Beatles songs as a guitar player.
Mhm.
We've used some of their videos in their songwriting space where we look at chord progression. So I'm still loving the Beatles, and that you don't have to pay for all that knowledge.
Thanks, Paul. All right. All right. So I'm going to bring on our next instructor. Paul, go ahead and let you go. John DeMarco has been a part of our broadcast at least a couple times that I can think of. Hey, John, it's good to have you. What is it?
So can you see my my screen?
Sure can.
Mhm.
I'm sharing what I'm calling stocking stuffers, right? So I knew everybody was going to go for big ticket items here and there,
Oh, I
but
love your fourth one.
yeah, I knew you would, Paul. So the first one is it's an interesting concept to me, and I'm not good at slide, but I'd like to get better.
Mm.
I like it.
It's a slide ring, and what I find interesting is it's got a little bit of a spring thing here that is supposed to make it stay on your finger where you want it a little bit better. It's made by a company called Black Mountain Picks, I think is what it's called. And then the next one, actually, I've handed these out to some of my students here locally. And it's these little grippy things. And I don't know about the rest of you, but I've got some arthritis going on with my fingers. and some of my students have as well. And these little sticky things go on any pick that you want, and it just gives you a little bit of extra something to hang on to. And of course, you can buy picks that have those little, kind of pebbly or sandpapery kinds of things. But this is kind of cool, and they're a little bit, I would say a little bit soft too, so you can kind of get a nice pinch on them. The next one is it's just some screenshots of some loopers, about $100 a piece, and I really enjoy playing around with the looper. Although now I'm really looking at the Spark after watching you guys demo that, especially if it's got a looper built into it. But a lot of different kinds of loopers out there, and it's a lot of fun because you can basically, the one I've got is actually the Donner on the far right. It does a drum track based on what you're playing, and then you basically can play with your, play by yourself, and a lot of fun. And actually, it's a good practice tool because you can keep doing that solo over and over again, or actually listen back to yourself, kind of like on a DAW, right? You can listen to yourself and pick up what you want to. And then I couldn't resist. I had to put one in for Paul. Some special picks with the Beatles in a little tin, right? A little collectible thing. So yeah, that's my list.
Yeah. Lots of options.
Excellent.
Lots of options.
I
John.
gave that Beatles thing to my friend who's he passed, but I gave him that one last year for Christmas.
Mm.
He
Yep.
was a huge Beatles fan.
Mhm. Those
And
are
why wouldn't you be a Beatles fan? That's my thing.
exactly.
That's why we get along, John. It's that
That's
logic.
right. That's right. Hey, I got to tell you guys a quick story. I had lunch with a good friend yesterday who plays in a Beatles tribute band, and they are making a video of themselves, and they found a guy locally here in Minneapolis, St. Paul. He turned his rec room downstairs of his house into a replica of the cavern. And so they're going to actually film in this space that he's got, and I can hardly wait to see it. When I get it, I'll send out a link to the YouTube video. But it was just fascinating that somehow they found this guy who had built this replica of the cavern in his basement. So
Does that include the water that comes off from the ceiling when you get
I don't know, but I'm looking forward to seeing it, Paul. I gotta tell you.
All right, real good on here. Hey, Kathy, you're gonna share it, right? Can you unmute? Are you able to unmute? Are you gonna share the thing that you wanted to share? I think you shared it at the iJam.
Yeah, I'll share it again, but as a beginner student, I have a couple ideas.
Oh, okay. All right.
A metronome is really good. They're pretty cheap. So that's a nice little gift idea. And believe it or not, I got this little stamp thing. And
for a grid there for the
yeah,
it
does the grids.
Uh-huh.
Oh, nice.
So I can practice and write down, hey, here's my chords, and I can, just try and, sit down watching TV, do a couple things. So you can, one direction you use it and it's guitar, and then you just rotate it 90 degrees and it's for ukulele. I don't know how to play that, but just so you know.
Sure, you know how to play ukulele. What's the secret to playing ukulele if you're a guitar player? You're playing at the 5th fret, right?
I don't know,
Right.
but so really cheap. And then you have to remember Legos. I got this little guy.
Yeah, that's what we're waiting for. That's the big money right there.
Yeah,
The
sorry.
Lego.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
And then the other one is I got a new one. It's a whole jazz set. And we got an upright bass player.
Oh, we're waiting for you to build that one now.
Yeah, I'm in the Christmas mode right now, so this will be after the first of the year.
It looks like. Wait, did I understand this correctly? You're a chapter coordinator now, aren't you?
Yeah.
Columbus, Columbus.
Awesome.
Right on.
Yeah, leading the efforts. Which is your chapter? Which chapter are you?
Columbus, Ohio.
All right.
Yeah.
Way to go.
Congrats.
Congratulations. Thanks for
And
sharing
Thanks.
that.
Kathy, my advice when you're doing the Lego set is build the drummer last because they always show up last to the sets. They got
Always.
That's true.
They
And
I
they're
do
the
knew
first
that.
ones you need.
All right, time for the panel questions. All right, so let's see here. I'm a singer-songwriter, guitar player, and I want a gift. What are you getting me? Not me, but I'm just asking for a friend. So, songwriters, is there a gift idea in mind? I'll start. Journal. Writing journal because they love to write, right? So, there are a whole lot of writing pads that you can use. You could even use your own your mobile devices if you wanted to. I do that when I do lyric writing. But what ideas might you have for the songwriter who's waiting to add to their collection of toys?
If they don't already have it, transposition software. It'll also write out your composition on your computer for those that can't write.
Do you have any software?
You
What
need
the
it to
names of
be,
those
if you
titles?
need it to be printed. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the software that exists for that. I mean, these are
Composing
apps.
software. Yeah.
Composing software. What else is there? What else could be some pocket dictionary, thesaurus, perhaps? Maybe that would work.
It's kind of been mentioned already, but I love the idea when you're creating instrumentals on a guitar of the looper. It
Mhm.
helps like with getting a chord progression down, and then while you're playing off of that, finding melodies or additional chords to play against that. It's a really nice tool for creating. It's not usually thought like we use a looper for a lot of different reasons, but the idea of creating and adding and expanding onto original guitar work is something I really enjoy using the looper for.
Definitely handy for sure. Hey,
By the
Dan.
way, on December 4th at 8 o'clock, Rachel Hill, singer-songwriter, that's one of the questions we ask her. She's going to do a live event for us on songwriting. And she, as we're putting the agenda together, she said, I'd kind of like to talk about what tools, she kept using the word tools, I use when I songwrite. So she's going to talk a little bit about some of the different things she's doing. I think journaling is one of them, but
Oh, that'll be awesome.
I'm sure all the college graduates here or anybody that went to college would definitely is treasured probably by, I think, most songwriters that I've ever talked to is a thesaurus.
Yeah.
Getting
You
those
gotta
getting those rhymes, getting those synonyms and looking for that word that you just it means this, like say action, but you want another word for action. So
Yeah, what is it? There's even, let's see, Master Writer is an application that is online, and I've used that. Not only does it provide a thesaurus, but it also provides you with other word ideas, other options and alternatives. You plug in the word, it gives you the word that rhymes with it, a phrase that uses that word at the start or the middle or the end of the suggestion. Masterwriter.com is one that I've used over the last 10 years, and it's wonderful to get these ideas with a little bit of help. The other, of course, is just being a part of a group of writers and players, and I'm sure Rachel's going to go into that even more. If you didn't catch it, she also did an interview with me on Song Sung True, and she talks a little bit about that songwriting process as well. So it'll give you a good taste before she shows up on the 4th. So here's a question. Let's go ahead and set the spending limits. You've got a budget. Let's talk about $10 or less. What's the stocking stuffer that you would want to suggest? And if you could be specific, I'll take the Ernie Ball, acoustic strings or something. That would be wonderful.
Well, here, these have come in handy for me. Finger exercise equipment. This little guy, really good for loosening up the fingers. And me and my dog play with this a lot. And with the arthritis, it really is a helpful little tool. So this is one of my favorite toys. And the other one, if the dog doesn't grab it, is a ball just to squeeze it. So just some therapeutic stuff. Guitarists need this stuff as we age, it seems. But I don't use it as often as I should probably. But anyways, it's great exercise equipment. So these are my favorite stocking stuffers.
Very good. All right. And Dan, you've got one there too.
No, I was just holding up my finger exerciser.
I've got one of those. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I'm trying to
But I do have for under $10. Well, there's always guitar strings, which we've already nailed. A magazine subscription to a guitar player's, you know, I don't know if I know there's some. Yep. There you go. I like Kathy's idea over there. $10 is hard to corner on things because a slide, guitar slide, a good guitar slide.
I would say if $10 is your budget, depending again on what you want to do, there is a whole world of apps out there that are relatively cheap. And they're apps that'll help you with theory. We highlighted one in our ISAP program that it's a visual audio decibel marker, and it's called Sing to Pitch, where you try and hit a pitch and maintain it, and it gives you visual feedback. There's apps that teach you theory. I mean, there's a lot to explore, and those apps are usually like $4.99, $5.99 for an app. So yeah, I mean, try and match up what your interest is with the app world.
Like that. Hey, are there any, this is along Dan's idea. There are a lot of lessons that can be, access through the internet. $10 a month, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what the going rate is right now, but that would be an idea. Look for, if you're interested in, some of the subscriptions for song charts or lessons. But those are some ideas as well too. All right, so now let's go to the opposite end of the spectrum. Let's say you don't have a budget, or maybe your budget is unlimited. What do you suppose you can recommend for that?
Oh my.
The sky's the limit.
I would recommend you be my friend for life and we go shopping at Sweetwater together.
Gift card. Yeah, gift card. It sounds good.
Crazy enough as it sounds, I always wanted a Moog, the original style Moog.
You mean, is it the one that
with
one
all the because that's what I
the
learned
switchboard?
on when I was in high school on how to do electronic music and work a synthesizer.
Uh-huh.
And I always wanted to get one back, but to try to find one, they're very expensive. So if I had that money, I would get that.
I think it'd be really cool. This would only work for a certain type of musician, guitar player, but buying studio time. To have someone to be able to go into a studio and either with some of their bandmates put something down or create something would be a lot of fun.
Good idea.
I like that.
I like that one.
Yeah.
It's expensive anymore.
And I don't know if you know this, my son did this several years ago. He took some of my old recordings of stuff, of music I used to make with my brothers way back, and he found a place that imprints it on vinyl. So he made a record of our original music on vinyl, which is kind of neat.
Cool.
Let me walk down that path of second instruments. We talked about it earlier this year. Is there an instrument that comes to mind? Let's say, for instance, maybe the next instrument might be of interest to someone. What would this panel recommend at this point?
Well, again, if money's not the issue,
Money's not the issue.
I would like to meet with someone like a Rich that makes them from scratch, and I'd like to design a guitar with them and talk about what the fretwood inlays would be and the material would be, and it would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Rask guitar would be really kind of cool to get customized.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to go with a second instrument, believe it or not, I really have always wanted to learn pedal steel.
Oh, And we've got the man holding the cigar box guitar.
with the cigar box
Yeah.
guitar.
What do you charge for lessons, Bruce? Do you teach pedal steel, and do you give a G4V discount?
I teach.
Right? Yeah, you get a veterans discount on that, Bruce?
I actually, a friend of mine made this for me. It didn't cost me anything. In any event, yeah, I do teach. In fact, I have a student, and not through Guitarist for Vets, but private lessons. I charge a 12-pack of beer.
That it?
That's it.
That's it. What
That's
a
it.
deal. What
You
a
got to
deal.
go out and get the steel guitar, though.
Yeah, they're not cheap.
No,
mean-
what's a good one anymore? Really, about 8 to 10?
No, you can get a good one for $3. Mine was 3,000, and it's a professional instrument.
Yeah.
But yeah, the sky's the limit. I mean, there are some that are, and mine's a single neck. I'm too old to learn both necks. It's C6
Right.
and B9, so I just have a single neck, 3 pedals, 5 knee levers. Um, it's really a cool instrument.
I always admired the Nationals. There was a guy I knew had a handmade National.
Yep.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Absolutely
Those are
gorgeous.
beautiful. They're
Yeah,
heavy.
there's
heavy,
there's
heavy.
four
too.
there's 4 or 5 good band. I mean, I'm a big favorite of Justice. He's in Arizona, but there's 3 or 4 that are you can get a fairly good steel for maybe $1,200, but mine was 3.
So, Leaf, you want to add to the mandolin? You're interested in, wanting to explore mandolin as a second instrument, or do you play already?
Oh, I absolutely love the noise of it, plus the kind of bluesgrass element.
Mhm.
Beautiful sound. But to kind of riff off of Rich's idea and the kind of the cheap, I'm very big on very low frills. So when you're talking about gifts, especially us Army boys, if you find an ammo can, they make great kits to store your cleaners, for your, and that's that motivation. And then on that cheap end, I make my own guitar picks out of coconut shells and everything. And you can go anywhere with
Interesting.
that. It's really, it just has to be as tough as a fingernail. So,
So it's like the punch, the maker, the pick
oh,
maker.
those things are great, but you can really so this is plexiglass,
Sweet.
and you can put a bevel on that and play, so you can speed pick with that like you wouldn't believe.
Mm-hmm.
I had originally 2 years ago, I started making these because I didn't like the felt picks that came for ukulele. Because I started on the ukulele. I'm learning guitar, and as a joke, when I was making leather picks for the ukulele, I picked up a fender washer and made a fender washer pick.
You're going on. There's it sounds like you can
So
much try anything.
anything, because it needs to be harder than a fingernail, and sometimes not even. Like I've made them like buffalo horn
Mhm.
or
Wow.
deer antler for all your southern boys down there. Yeah,
There's no boundaries. Really?
no boundaries. The different textures, like this is a seashell from when I did a dive down the coast. It chirps a little bit more. I had seen somebody online, somebody bought a mother of pearl one. Beautiful. Don't drop it ever. But yeah, like Rich. Yeah, there you
Yeah,
go.
I got a
Pickapalooza,
gift.
That's
I got a gift several years. I
Rich
guess
got
this is
it.
backwards. It's like
Yeah.
a paper punch, and it punches.
Perfect.
What's really good about this is all those annoying credit cards and AARP cards you get every 6 months. This is a great way to use those things up and get some benefit from them. So it's kind of a cute little thing to have too. I got this as a gift. I'm not sure what it was worth, but it's kind of fun.
All right. Well, real good. Apparel. let's start with this. Guitarist Servets has their apparel line. What guitarist would reject such quality items? Make sure to check out the new website too. There's a lot of information, not only in this about the store itself, but also the things, the mission, the instructors, the people who run this, and the volunteers, stories about them as well. But any unique apparel ideas? Because hey, I as a guitarist, I like wearing these, these t-shirts that say I'm a musician. But have you come into anyone? Bueller?
Wrangler jeans partnered with Fender, and they made a jean jacket that's got little pick holders at the bottom, so you could stick your picks in your jean jacket. Like there's a ribbing at the very bottom of the jean.
Cool.
You could just slip your picks in.
Oh, real good, real good. Hey, which comes the thing that comes to mind is guitar straps. Guess any unique ideas for guitar straps? We just did one with candy leather, right? So having these made up, that's also another idea. Paul, what are the highlights of that? Do you recall what it required in terms of making one?
Yeah, so tandy leather, there's a if you've not, and I'm new to leather work, I didn't know anything about it, but there's a kit that you buy for working on leather. So it's the punch and the cutting and all the ways that you work with the leather. And there's some of these beautiful artists that made some amazing. One of the ones was kind of a music staff, and they picked the musical notes so that if you knew how to read the music, it was like the beginning of the Star Spangled Banner. Others did some beautiful veteran silhouettes on it, using different colors that they did on the leather. So it's another art form.
That's for sure. Leaf indicated Old Martial Arts belts make great guitar straps. I could see that. Wow.
He was talking about that Tandy kit. You can buy kits to just sew on the end of something, and those thick straps, most of them are cotton or a cotton blend, and it doesn't cut in at all. It's really nice. Just a little handiness.
I'm assuming, Leaf, the opposite isn't true, that some of our guitar straps would make good karate belts.
Pull it tight enough.
Man, I'm going to bring you
Just
up.
Hold your pants on,
Man, I'm going to bring you up because you've been throwing some comments in here that I'm sorry that I have not gotten to. But hey, you're not too shy to tell us about what it is that you posted.
I've been getting some guitar pedals off of AliExpress. I've got a fuzz, a compensator, a spring reverb, and a noise gate, and all of them were less than $10 a piece. You got to wait 2 weeks to get them. I mean, it takes a minute to get them, but if you want to just try pedals without going out and spending $100 on a Boss pedal or $140 on a Boss pedal, you can at least get the idea of what those pedals are like. And of course, you can do that. We talked a lot about the Spark earlier, and I'm actually playing 3 pedals right now through a clean Spark, just to play with the pedals a little bit. But yeah, they're $10 a piece, and that's a pretty good deal for really, really cheap. The other thing is, if you're just looking for a looper pedal, I probably pronounce it wrong, but the Lakedo, man, you can actually go out on the internet and download your loop onto the pedal, and then plug your pedal in and play what you downloaded. So if you're not able to play the backing track that you want on your looper, you can just go download it from a WAV file is all you have to do. And I mean, that pedal here again, I know they sell them on Amazon, but I bought mine on AliExpress, and it was less than $30, and it lets you save 9 channels of audio. So that was kind of cool too. So there's a couple of things, if you don't want to spend a whole lot of money, that might be good gifts for guitarists.
All right. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for making those contributions and for joining us. I'm trying to recall the last time I had you actually on one of the programs to have you speak up. Is this the first time that we've kind of put you on the spot?
No, when we do something with the I showed off my a guitar one time. I think a couple of weeks ago or months ago, we might have talked about electric guitars, and Paul told us one guitar on a desert island, and then he didn't give us electricity. So yeah.
Oh, very good. All right. Well, we will have to check all of these ideas out. Really wonderful. Thank you all. And anyone from our audience, if you have something that you want to share, just unmute your mic and we'll go ahead and bring you up to
Yes,
the forefront
please.
with everyone. And if not, let me just go ahead and thank everyone once again for joining us. We have done this for 10 episodes, and every episode we ourselves are surprised as to who shows up, not only as a panelist, um, but also as a guest. And for the participation that we're getting from the community, we are so most appreciative for. We are looking forward to some really neat things to talk about next year. We don't know quite what they are, but we kind of have an idea.
Oh, I got
know
a
a list.
billion ideas.
What is it that we decide that we're going to go ahead and hone in on?
Oh, we
Your guess is as
need
good as ours, but we love hearing from you. So if you can post to the G4V community about ideas, about what episodes you want to see, not only for the Guitar Shop, but for any of the live event programming that we do. And speaking of live event programming, let me tell you that we've got at least 3 events that we're aware of right now that are posted on the G4V Learning Center. We know that there's a Song Sung True Veterans View where we sit down with a combat veteran, actually a veteran who is a singer-songwriter, which we know we've got at least, I believe we have at least 11 veterans who have stepped forward, gave us not only their stories in and out of the military, but also as singer-songwriters and performers. We've recorded those. You'll find that in the G4V Learning Center, as well as the YouTube channel for Guitars for Vets under the Cyber chapter. We've also got, as Paul had mentioned earlier, Rachel Hill, who was a guest on G4V's Song Sung True, a Veteran's View. She's coming back to give an introduction to songwriting. And I believe is this month also the return of the Guitar Brigade, Paul, or is that next month?
November 20th at 8. We'll drop the event probably early next week, but yeah, it looks like we're gonna revisit the pentatonic shapes and like within one shape, all the different things you could do. You could find the major chord, the minor chord, the triad. So we're going to be expanding our pentatonic knowledge on November 20th.
Cool.
Fantastic. And then, of course, don't forget, every first Thursday of the month it's going to be an iJam, but this time the iJam play along is going to feature some of our favorite easy to play holiday songs, just as we did last year. So that's kind of a glimpse at the future. We really appreciate your support of our program, and hope to see you at the next live event, whatever that might be.
I had one more thing, Tom, if that's all right.
Of course.
Don't forget after Christmas to post in there some of your Christmas gifts you got. That'll kind of be a fun maybe thing to do in the community. And while we've been on here, I noted who is on this call. Since you're in my system, I have your mailing addresses. And I thought it'd be really cool if we did like a secret Santa. And so I'll develop a list of names that you could pick from, and then you'll pick that name, and then you'll buy that person a gift and send that person a gift.
I like that list. It's in alphabetical order too, which is easy to.
It's all just Paul. Yeah. Never mind. Forget it.
Thanks, Paul. Hey, and I want to go ahead and take this opportunity to thank my partner in crime, the co-host of Guitars for Vets Guitar Shop, who's been sitting in for me while I was away. Thank you, Dan. I look forward to some great episodes ahead. And
pretty interesting how we all came around to this. And when Paul asked me if I'd be interested in helping out, I was skeptical it would go past 2 or 3. And here we are at 10. And we've had some amazing people. Rich, John, I love talking with you guys because we talk guitars. John, especially because of his electric guitar knowledge. The great people that we have had and we've gotten a chance to talk with. Robert Rask was just a mind blow. He was incredible. just getting to know him while we were getting him ready to get into the show was quite inspirational on its own.
And if you missed it is one of the, I think it's episode 3 of Guitar Shop. So be sure to look it up. One of many. I mean, the instrument, the people, our instructors who gave demonstrations of all the instruments from, from pedal steel with Bruce. Danny had played mandolin. It was such a wonderful ride. It was a fun ride the entire year, and I'm looking forward.
Danny's craftsmanship on his mandolins was just amazing in itself. Not only can he play them, he can build them. We have some amazing talent in our community, and it's been my privilege to get to know everyone and to see this talent and be a part of it. So
And remember, if any of you are interested in exploring like any of these details next year, we could do a live event around an interest you have or a passion you have. We could turn it into a series. I mean, all of the extra programming that happens outside of our lessons is only because of people like Tom and Dan that want to explore and give up more of their time to do this. So thank both of you again. Thanks, Tom. And this has been awesome.
My pleasure. It's been wonderful. Looking forward to some wonderful holidays and then into the new year. So want to thank you all for joining us for today's Guitar Shop. For Paul Lilley and for Daniel B., I'm Tom Lamog, Guitars for Vets. We'll see you next time.
Bye.